Yesterday, January 5, 2026, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, CPB, announced its dissolution, quietly ending a major chapter in American media. For nearly 60 years, CPB was the backbone of public media, supporting local TV and radio stations and bringing us stories, music, and educational programs that shaped our national identity. Its closure marks more than the end of an office, it's the end of an era in how Americans connect and communicate. Public media was always more than just another channel. It was a promise that the airwaves would serve the public good, not just profit. CPB ensured even the smallest towns had access to quality programming, from Sesame Street to local news. The news, delivered in a simple press release, was met with a profound sense of loss. For millions, public broadcasting was a trusted companion. NPR's calm voice in the morning, breathtaking documentaries at night, and local news that commercial stations ignored. With CPB gone, the architecture supporting this ecosystem has vanished, leaving a void. This is the conclusion of a grand experiment, one that believed a well-informed citizenry is the bedrock of democracy. The CPB's story is about more than a government agency. It's about our shared values and the future of how we learn about ourselves and the world. The end of CPB is a moment every American should understand. It's a reminder of what we lose when we let go of institutions built for the common good. The silence left behind is not just the absence of programming, but the loss of a national conversation. The story of CPB's rise and fall is, ultimately, the story of us. To understand why CPB's end matters, we need to go back to 1967. Amidst social upheaval, a presidential commission declared commercial TV was failing the nation. Their report called for a new kind of broadcasting, one dedicated to enlightenment and public service. The result: the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967, signed by President Johnson, creating the CPB. CPB was a private, non-profit corporation, not a government agency, a crucial buffer between Congress and content creators. Its mission: distribute federal funds to local stations, shielding them from political interference. This was a national priority, recognizing that society needs more than entertainment. It needs trusted information and accessible education. Early public broadcasting pioneers believed TV and radio could unite a nation, giving every child and adult, rural or urban, access to the same high-quality programming. This vision was bipartisan, aiming to serve all Americans and reflect the country's diversity. CPB nurtured this system, providing seed money and support so local stations could thrive. It was the start of a journey to create a media landscape built on curiosity, dialogue, and lifelong learning. For nearly 6 decades, that mission defined American public media. Its loss is the loss of a public trust. The genius of the Public Broadcasting Act was CPB's unique role, not as a content creator but as a steward of public funds. Congress gave money to CPB, which then distributed grants to over 1,500 local stations, empowering communities to serve their own audiences. This decentralized model protected stations from political pressure. Funding flowed through a bipartisan board, not directly from politicians. Editorial decisions were made by journalists, not by those in power, a safeguard for independence. CPB's support went beyond money. It set standards, funded new technologies, and enabled national programming like PBS NewsHour to reach every corner of the country. The firewall was tested often, but for over 50 years, it held. Americans consistently supported public media, and a fragile bipartisan consensus recognized its value. CPB proved that government could fund a free, independent press without controlling it, a model admired worldwide. Its dissolution removes that shield, exposing stations to new vulnerabilities. The loss is not just financial, but a blow to journalistic independence. CPB was the financial backbone, but PBS and NPR were the public faces. PBS, founded in 1969, became a cultural cornerstone, home to Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street, and documentaries that shaped our understanding of history and science. NPR, launched in 1970, redefined radio news with in-depth storytelling and thoughtful analysis, becoming a trusted daily companion for millions. Both organizations relied on local stations and independent producers for creative work, sharing it nationwide. Federal dollars from CPB made up a critical part of local station budgets, especially in rural areas. Without CPB's seed money, many stations would never have survived, let alone produce the programming Americans depended on. The end of CPB threatens the entire ecosystem, especially for those most in need. Public Broadcasting's foundation always depended on a fragile political consensus. By the 2020s, polarization and accusations of bias made public media a target. In 2025, the new administration and Congress made eliminating federal funding a top priority, arguing that public media was no longer necessary in a crowded digital landscape. The Broadcast Deregulation and Fiscal Responsibility Act swiftly stripped all federal funding from CPB. Supporters of public broadcasting fought back, warning that the loss would devastate rural and underserved communities. Despite passionate pleas, the bill passed and was signed into law. The firewall that protected public media for over half a century was demolished in a single stroke. The loss of federal support was not just a budget cut, it was a statement about the nation's priorities. The Defunding Act set the clock ticking for CPB. With its core mission gone, the board explored alternatives, but the financial gap was too vast. On January 5, 2026, the board met for a final somber vote. Dissolution was unanimous. CPB President Patricia Harrison called it a painful but necessary step, honoring those who built public broadcasting. The announcement, though expected, sent shockwaves through the media world. PBS and NPR now faced a future without their creator and main supporter, forced to rely solely on member dues, sponsorships, and donations. The carefully balanced ecosystem was thrown into chaos. The question was no longer if the system would change, but how deep the cuts would be, and who would be hurt most. The end of CPB was the end of an era. The end of CPB rippled across the country, hitting rural and underserved communities hardest. Urban stations may survive with affluent audiences and diverse support, but small stations in places like North Dakota or West Virginia depended on CPB grants to stay alive. Without that support, many face impossible choices/services or shut down. Local news, educational outreach, and cultural programming are often the first to go. Stations that once served as community hubs are reduced to mere repeaters, if they survive at all. This deepens America's media divide. Urban centers retain choices, while rural areas lose their local voice and trusted information. The loss is not just financial, but cultural, leaving millions more isolated and less informed. The divide grows and the nation's shared story fades. The dissolution of CPB is more than a financial crisis, it's the loss of a shared American story. Public broadcasting was where America told its story to itself, creating a common cultural vocabulary that transcended differences. It brought us into the homes of ordinary people, the halls of power, and the wonders of science and art. Programs like Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, and Cosmos were more than shows, they were national experiences. Now, in a fragmented media landscape, we retreat into information bubbles, losing the common ground CPB helped create. PBS NewsHour and NPR once offered reasoned debate and thoughtful reporting. Their loss makes finding common good harder. The greatest impact may be on children, who lose a safe, educational haven. For decades, public TV taught not just letters and numbers, but empathy and citizenship. The erosion of this foundation is a loss we'll feel for generations. The silence is more than absence. It's the loss of a national conversation. As of January 6, 2026, the future of public media is uncertain. The old model is gone. What rises next is unknown. Surviving stations must become entrepreneurial, seeking new funding and new ways to serve their communities. Some may rely on major donors and foundations, raising questions about independence. Others may turn to digital innovation, subscriptions, podcasts, online content, but risk leaving behind those who can't pay. Regional alliances and nonprofit partnerships may emerge, but without a national body like CPB, the landscape will be fragmented and unequal. The need for trusted educational content is greater than ever. The challenge now falls to all of us, to find a new way to build the future of media our democracy deserves. The story is not over. A new chapter is beginning. What we do next will define the future of our shared story.